Okay, so why is Coke patriotic? This is a question I posed to myself in my freshman year of college. It is a question that I ended up doing an entire research paper on. The paper itself was 20 pages before citations and works cited. It ended up being morphed into something that I worked on in my free time, a project that I was principally concerned about because of some of the motifs and things that Coke as a company does with their advertising. Principally, its use of patriotic themes. And I'd seen this several times growing up, and it was something that always stuck to me. And without getting into Coke from a business perspective, which is something I could also do, I wanted to just tackle it from just a point of view of advertising. So that's where we begin. Why Coke is patriotic. And so I had to define both of these terms. I said, what is Coca Cola? Well, we know that just factually. It's a beverage that was invented by a pharmacist in 1886, a soda that has had over 100 different advertising campaigns, and a campaign in this sense being a very highly designed, well-designed, complex campaign. This isn't just they've had over 100 different commercials or 100 different magazine advertisements. This is they have had over 100 planned adverts for their products. And we also know that they are a company that has hundreds of different unique beverage choices across the globe. Now, this is the small bit where I am going to get into the business perspective on this topic, and that is if a company has more products, one, they have more products that they have to advertise, but they also have more products that they can advertise, and they can hit more sectors of that marketplace. In this sense, the marketplace being different sectors of the world. And so then I wanted to describe, well, what is patriotism? Well, I'm sure you can think of what a patriot is, or think of patriotic acts, or patriotic feelings can be evoked by certain things. But I had to divide down patriotism into small components that could be analyzed for this paper, because if I can only tell you what Coke is and I can't tell you what patriotism is, then I can't relate the two together. So patriotism really is defined as a devoted love, support, loyalty to one's homeland, and a reverence for the history of your nation. Someone who may just love their country or support and have loyalty to one's homeland could be a patriot. But I think patriotism as a concept is built upon a reverence for the history of the nation. You're going to love and support something because of what has happened. And so that's where we move on. So I wanted to do this semi-historically. And the first time that I really see Coke as a global thing is in World War II. So it's from an American perspective, I see it as opening up the global world through America. So an American GI in Europe, for example, they were in a completely different part of the world, but that little bit of America, in about 16 fluid ounces, a bottle of Coke, would be there with them. So it presents Coke as a universal language because we also see that other countries were starting to have this. And it was a delicious beverage that they could mold themselves around. They were molded by their experience, and they were united by the things they shared. Because that is one of the core issues that we face as humanity, right? Is that we have these differences, and how do we reconcile them? Well, it's a lot easier to reconcile those differences when you have something that unites you together. It could be as simple as a drink, right? And so in mid-20th century markets, we very much see a white America, an idealized imagery. And today we may look at these three adverts as nostalgic, but they weren't that way originally. They were just presented as one would idealize. And so there's tons of adverts like this. One of my favorites actually is the cool off with a Coke. I would probably be the one spraying water at someone, let's be honest. I have to stay professional for this, however, so I won't delve too much into that. But these are very good examples of the type of advertising that Coke was doing in the mid 20th century in America. So in the 70s, the early 70s, we see one of the most famous advertisements of all time. I mean, let's expand out from Coca-Cola for a minute and talk about the Hillside ad. It is really what I think we can see as one, it's one of the most famous advertisements of all time. Two, it moved a product from a category of the few in America, right? Relative to the rest of the world, America is not the largest population. So we have this item that is slowly coming into other nations, and Hillside in many ways announces that Coke is a universal language. It goes back to this idea that we first see in World War II, that Coke is a universal language, that food and beverage are the things we bond over even if we do not have the same language capability, right? If one person speaks English, one speaks German, Coca-Cola, in this sense, is that unifying language. It's that universal language. It's a universal idea. And Hillside does that. It shows us what that universal language is by presenting it, actually presenting it as a physical thing. People together. So the ad budget for Coca-Cola is presumed to exceed 3 billion United States dollars per year. It's internationally recognized. One of the more recent big Coca-Cola advertisement campaigns that they continue to bring back year after year because it's so successful is the Share Coke campaign, right? I have a few Coke bottles. One's a Diet Coke and one's just a Coca-Cola that have my name on it. They say Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N. Those are, I'm not going to drink those. They're just there on my shelf somewhere because I looked for them. Right? Every time I would go to the grocery store, or the convenience store, I would take an extra couple minutes and look at the Coca-Cola and like, hey, is there my name? Is there the name of someone that I know? Right? Because it's almost like, okay, if I can give someone a gift for $1.89, right? That's about the price that it would be at a convenience store. Why not do that? So I think Share Coke, the Share Coke campaign is brilliant in its success, and it increased their ad budgets by $1 billion in 2014, and it has continued to come back and back and back. So the Coca-Cola Company products include, but are not limited to, Coca-Cola, Vanilla Coke, Cherry Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Lime, Coke Lemon, Sprite, Coke Zero, Sprite Raspberry, Coke Life, Caffeine-Free Coke, and Beverly. Now, I've included Beverly. That's kind of an inside joke. It is one of the most disgusting drinks ever. If you ever have a chance to drink some Beverly, do it. Get about 8 ounces of it. Pull your nose closed, and then enjoy, or not so much. So different flavors fulfill different niches for different customers, and as such are marketed differently. That connects back to the thing that I said earlier about how different products are presented differently. Now, Sprite, for example, we see a largely urban advertising component. Coca-Cola is presented as a beverage for everybody. But I'll get back to that in a minute. I forgot to say one thing about Hillside. And that is that it is functionally the one thing that in many ways saved Coca-Cola. Because at this time we start to see Pepsi coming up. And in the 80s we have the Pepsi challenge and Coke sort of falters and we have the new Coke issue. All of these are things that you'll see in pop culture history if you ever study that. But we have to remember that advertising campaigns sometimes take someone from zero to hero, right? The ads in many ways have the ability for a faltering product, a product that is about to fail, absolutely fail, can be revived. So why is Coca-Cola patriotic? It appeals to the emotion of nostalgia. Patriots will look to how great their nation is, and they idealize that. So tradition and happiness go together. And it tastes good. It's an ingrained moral boost. Now, not speaking psychologically, but if we condition ourselves to enjoy something, and then we use it to treat ourselves and reward ourselves, it continues to be that ingrained moral boost. And so the Coke markets in different parts of the world market different things, but I think overall as a company, through all of their beverages, Coke markets an idea of uniqueness within a united group, be it a country or the world. And that brings us to the end. This is the We're Excited page for anyone who is curious about some of the research that has gone in. And with that, I just want to leave on one note, which is this is the first project that I'm presenting. And it will not be the last. I have several other things that I've worked on throughout my life. And those are things that I want to not so much lecture on. I'm not an expert in some of these fields by any stretch of the imagination. But I would say in most fields where I have attempted to learn something, I know more than the average lay person in that regard. So this is a series that I do because I enjoy it, not because I'm trying to make money off of it. It's just something I put out there because I feel that everyone has something to contribute. Everyone has a voice. That the more knowledge, the more discourse that's out there, the better this country and the world, right? I'm talking about the world, the world will be, the better the world will be. So with that, I will leave you, and I just want to say thank you.